Welcome to Mixing with Mike, and this is a mixing tip on subtractive EQ with kick drums. Now, in this Pro Tools session, I'm going to play a kick drum here for you, and this is very typical of what a lot of acoustic kick drums sound like, although this is a sample. And sampled kick drums have a tendency to be more processed sounding from the get-go, but they still offer a lot of the same issues in terms of the mix. The one thing about the kick drum that is similar with the bass is that they need to really work together functionally for most of the low end of the track. But the difference is that the kick drum is percussive in nature, so it actually is more of a pulsing low end, whereas the bass typically has more sustain generally in it. So they actually have a very different approach in terms of the way that they work. The other difference is that a bass actually has a moving fundamental because they're switching notes all the time, whereas a kick drum typically has a fixed fundamental. So once the drum is tuned to a particular frequency, it stays that way. Now, the way that we approach this, or the way that I approach this, is let's just start by listening to a kick drum. And one of the first things I'll do, oddly enough here, is I'm going to start by trying to find the fundamental frequency. So I'm going to start my subtractive EQ lesson by working on additive EQ, because I really want to find where that thump is. And there's a difference between the sub frequencies and really finding that frequency that gives it the thud or the pop that you're looking for. So somewhere in here, right about here, is really what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. Now what I want to do from this point on is now start to approach by applying a filter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter down just below where this kick drum fundamental sits. And what I'm doing here, if you listen, I'm now focusing in this boost right here. And now I'm going to do the similar kind of thing here on the low mid-range. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to kind of do a dip. And you could already hear the difference there right away, right? So, and you hear how much that focuses the low end. And now I'm going to sweep this down. And now you can really hear how much that focuses in the low end. So here's bypassed. Right? And now we're really getting that sub frequency that's kind of in there. And we can really kind of play with this a little bit in terms of the way that I approach it. So for example, I could do kind of a narrower cue and get something that really gets that kind of low thump focused in, and then I'm going to swing down another EQ and do something more broad and general, like in the 200 area, which is usually a boxiness or a boxy area of a kick drum. I'm going to kind of widen my cue here a little bit. And now this is the difference. Same kick drum, right? Okay. Right, so you really hear that focused low end, right? That, as opposed to that beach ball kind of boxiness that we would like to get rid of. And I can even go more radical here. The cool part about approaching the kick drum this way is that if we actually get into the compression right after this, so this is the early stage of it, now the compression will really focus and make dense that low end frequency, that thud that you want, and it will also leave the space in these frequencies for the bass instrument to fill out those notes, and the guitar instruments, and they need those frequencies more than the kick drum does. So this low mid-range pulling it out will serve two purposes. We'll sink that kick drum down low in the speakers and make that low end really dense and potent and powerful so you feel the impact of it. And it will also leave room for the bass and guitars and other instruments that really need those fundamentals because their frequencies are shifting around through that spectrum. So this is just one basic approach to working with kick drums using subtractive and a little bit of additive EQ. So there's your mixing tip on subtractive EQ with kick drums. Hope you enjoyed it.